to debate latest developments regarding the pandemic, America's crime crisis, and new reporting about the Biden administration's plans to reset its immigration strategy. Let's bring in tonight's Bream Team panel. Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and Texas Congressman Chip Roy, who literally just got done voting on the floor. Congressman, thanks for making it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good to be on, Shannon.
And Leslie, always great to have you. Let's start with immigration, because I know, Congressman, as somebody who represents Texas, this is of great interest to you, as it is to many Americans. The Washington Post today talking about this idea being discussed of these border welcoming centers, sort of where people would get processed. They say proponents of the model say it would allow migrant families to remain together in a non-carceral setting with access to recreation and educational programming, medical services, and legal counsel. Asylum seekers housed at reception centers would not be technically detained, but they'd have incentives to remain at the sites and comply fully with the adjudication process. Your thoughts, Congressman?
Well, it's completely absurd. I mean, this is the Biden administration's solution, right? It's to send Kamala Harris down to the Central America and to talk to them once, come back to the United States, and then have no actual solution for our border. And the result is that we've got 51 dead migrants in a vehicle that overturns. We've got 2 dead American citizens because you've got an American citizen employee of cartels hammering into a car and T-boning it and killed two American citizens. We've had 600,000 gotaways while Biden administration tries to pretend, and Secretary Mayorkas lies and says our border is secure while Texas is getting decimating. Migrants are dying, and Mayorkas says the border is secure. Meanwhile, the entire state of Vermont's population has come into the United States in gotaways, much less the 2 million. Look, the Biden administration is completely AWOL. If you wanted to do worse, if you wanted to actually do worse than what President Biden is doing, I don't know how you could do it, whether it's crime, whether it's border, whether it's inflation, whatever the issue is, it is record levels of misery for the United States of America, and the American people are counting down the days of this administration and the Democratic majority in the House of Representatives.
All right, Leslie, quickly on the border, because I want to get to you with some other topics as well. But, you know, the administration continues to say the borders are closed. We are not welcoming people here. This is not the way this works. But when we talk about something like this, it sounds a little bit like a magnet to draw people on these very dangerous journeys.
This is the problem, and the congressman knows this better than I, and I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, and this is this administration or the last administration. This goes back 17, 20 years plus now. We have a problem with immigration because we don't have a comprehensive immigration reform package with bipartisan agreement. There are 2 things that have to be done. One, you should not have to come to the United States to apply for asylum. We have embassies overseas, so that's one of the problems. 2, we have such a backlog in our system. We don't have the money, we don't have the judges and the resources, as I mentioned, to handle the backlog or the people that are coming in. Those are just 2 problems at the top of the iceberg that I see that would be much better than walls or centers, you know, or the political fighting, which is very successful, quite frankly, when you have a midterm or a general election coming up, but it doesn't do much for the people that are trying to come here. I'm going to add 1/3 very quickly, Shannon, because you said quickly. We don't have anything stopping the carrot danglers, and the carrot danglers are the employers that say, I've got a job for you. And a lot of these people need jobs. They want jobs. They also want the safety and security that the United States means for them as opposed to their home countries.
Yeah, and a lot of them undertake, as we said, very dangerous journeys and are often exploited along the way if they make it to get here. I want to ask about the economy. The inflation surge, the producer price index surged by 9.6% in November. We've got a graphic to show you what that looks like. It is the biggest gain on record. What do we do, Congressman?
Well, first of all, you've got to stop spending money. And I know that's, you know, heretical to say in the nation's capital. And we just voted on another $2.5 trillion. I voted no. It'll shock everybody watching, I'm sure, to see that. But we got to stop spending money we don't have. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, look, if there should be any bipartisan agreement, is that you can't keep printing money and not expect it to have a significant negative consequence on our economy. We're strangling the greatest economy in the history of the world. And that's not a partisan statement, okay? Both parties have been absolute garbage when it comes to spending restraint. But right now, the Democrats are in charge of all 3, House, Senate, and the White House, and they're sending us massive spending bills going all the way back to the spring. Now they want the Build Back Better nonsense to try to continue to jam more spending through. The absolute consequence, you can't deny the correlation between this administration being in power and now rampant, massive inflation because you've dumped trillions of dollars into the economy irresponsibly. And it's hard to get away from the the facts on the ground.
I'm taking a peek at the vote here. 179 yes, 183 no. But there are a lot of folks who haven't voted. Don't ask me to do the math. There are 435 members. But it's expected that because you guys are outnumbered, Congressman, that the Democrats are going to pass. There it is, a look at the votes as they're coming in one by one pretty quickly now. The Wall Street Journal had an opinion piece that says this: the Biden stagflation is coming. It says the mounting regulatory burden of Mr. Biden's executive orders, his regulators' open hostility toward America's economic system, and the return to progressive-era antitrust enforcement will stifle growth. All the ingredients will be present to turn the current inflation into stagflation. Leslie, people across the political spectrum are now saying you can't use the word transitory when it comes to inflation.
I don't think it's about the word. I think it's about facts. I mean, the congressman said, you know, it's this administration, and that's no surprise. I'll put my miniature husky dog Apollo in the White House, and after a pandemic that we're still in, you would have inflation. And that's not me talking. That's Nobel Prize winning economists that are talking. And they may not use that word, and some of them may have. That is a fact. We're going to have inflation. It's going to be temporary, just like anything. If you look at anything, whether it's politics or the economy in our country or worldwide, it's cyclical and historical, and all we have to do is go back and look at the charts and the graphs to see the up and the down. We don't like, obviously, when inflation is going up, but we haven't put this pandemic behind us fully. And when it comes to Build Back Better, I wrote a great piece of Fox News that I hope that the congressman reads, that actually highlights how the people that really are hurting in this country would benefit by it, and that's why they are in favor of it.
Well, someone who is not yet convinced is Senator Joe Manchin. He's very worried about inflation and the price tag for this whole thing. He's got to be convinced before this thing goes anywhere in Washington. So he's the man we'll watch as we continue to watch the debt ceiling vote again. Congressman, thanks for making it off the floor. To join me and to join Leslie, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. God bless. Merry Christmas.
You too.